Good evening, everyone. I welcome you all for today's session uh, by CodeChef USICT Chapter in collaboration with Coding Ninjas. Here you will be guided on data structures and algorithms and how important it is to kickstart your career in tech giants. With great pleasure, I would like to welcome our speaker for today, Mr. Shubhankar Gaikwad, an alumnus of IIT Jodhpur, currently working as a software developer engineer at Microsoft, and also a former intern at Goldman Sachs. So without any further ado, let's start today's session. Over to you, Shubhankar, sir.
Thanks a lot, Sarthak, for a wonderful introduction. I hope I am audible and all of you can see me. If you can give me a thumbs up. Okay. So guys, as Sarthak said, we will be trying to understand why DSA is important and how DSA can really help you get a good job or a good internship. So before we start, a quick disclaimer that we want this session to be really interactive. And for that, what we're going to do is we would like all of you to ask me as many as questions as possible. You can unmute yourself and ask any question, or you can type it in the chat box. Or towards the end of the session, if you feel that there is a certain topic that you would want me to cover, we can do that as well. So yeah, I'll try to keep it as interactive as possible because this whole session is just for you. We want you to take back as much as you can from this session. Okay, so before we start, just as an icebreaker, I would like to know what kind of audience do we have today. So if all of you can quickly type in your current year of study and your branch, so that will help me understand the demographics and we can get this session ahead from there. Okay, so I see most of you, like majority, are either from third or fourth year, and we have some from first and second year. So okay, I kind of have a presentation that I would like to present. I designed it in such a way that it would have been more useful for the first and second year students. But never mind, we'll take any doubts that any one of you has the third and fourth year as well. I hope you guys can see my screen. Guys, can you see my screen? Okay, I already have. Yeah, sure. Thank you. So again, as we started off, important of DSA that we are going to cover in this session and how to become the engineer that everyone in this industry talks about. Okay, so without wasting time, let's get ahead. So as most of you are from your third year and your fourth year, I believe your placement or internship season will be starting or might be going on right now. So if Sarthak, if you can confirm when is the placement season scheduled or the internship season is scheduled or it's already ongoing?
It is currently ongoing.
Yeah. Okay. So I believe the third year and the fourth year students are participating. So for this particular slide is for first and second year students. See, whenever you go for any interview, particularly if you're going for internships, around 90% of the questions that come across you in the online round or in the interviews will be solely from data structures and algorithms. 90%, yes, the figure is 90%. Around 90% of the questions in total will be only from DSA. And rest 10% of the questions will be from certain core courses that you study in your curriculum. Now, these core courses are object-oriented and related concepts, computer networks, CN, database and its management, DBMS, and operating systems, OS. So these are the four subjects that are particularly asked during the interviews. Now, there are some certain tough subjects in computer science, say computer architecture or compiler design. So no company, no software firm is going to ask you questions on these two particular subjects. Okay, but make sure that you have knowledge of at least the four subjects that we talked about. Now, when you're going for placements, this percentage, which was 90 in during the internships, will reduce to somewhere around 40 to 50%, and majority will be from the core courses, because when you're entering the industry as a full-time employee, they expect you to have knowledge of the core computer science, which can be OS or database or computer networks, system design and stuff. Because based on your knowledge, they will be allotting you certain teams, so they will be seeing whether you fit with their requirements. Okay, so needless to say, if you're going for internship or you're going for full time, DSA plays a very important role. Now, DSA is very different in some way from competitive programming. You can DSA is basically a subset of competitive programming. If you are targeting competitive programming, you are if you say you practice competitive programming, what you mean to say is that you are going for ICPCs, or you are preparing for kickstart events or stuff like that. But just to get a job, being excellent at competitive programming is not what is required. All that is required from your side is data structures and algorithms. Okay. So now, again, this is for someone who is in first and second year, who is just starting off with computer programming or computer programming coding. I believe third and fourth year students have already a good knowledge and grasp of these subjects. So if for the people who are in the first and second year, if you are just starting off or you have no idea where to start from, the best thing that you can do is start with mathematical problems or riddles. Now, these mathematical problems are not integration or differentiation problems, rather some puzzles, mathematical puzzles, or some, like, you get what I'm trying to say, right? So indulge yourself in that, because when you indulge yourself in that, it will basically increase the scope of your thinking. It will help you understand logics. It will help you build a logic, and it will help you to kind of understand how, like, the building blocks towards a solution are. So if you have no idea about any programming language, you have no idea how programming works, just indulge yourself in some mathematical problems and riddles. Okay, you can start from there. Once you have a good start, you are devoting some time every day. Now you feel confident that you can jump into programming. Now, what you have to start with is not DSA directly or competitive programming. What you have to start with is implementation. Now, what I mean by implementation is that the solution to that particular problem will not involve any hardcore logic or some data structures. It will be a brute force solution. All you will have to do is write it, type it down. So when you practice 60, 70 problems based on only implementation, what will happen is you will get to familiarize with the environment and the language itself. So when you actually know how to put your thoughts, which are inside your head, into a computer program, it is at that point you can easily start with DSA, because understanding DSA is not at all tough. Understanding logics is not tough. Building logic is not that tough. What problem people actually face is implementing what is in your head, typing it down, and making that program run. That is what is the troublesome part. Okay. So devote enough amount of time towards implementation. Practice practice simple problems or lengthy problems, simple and lengthy problems. That will improve your implementation part. Now, once you have uh, devoted enough time to implementation, what you need to do is invest time in competitive programming. As I said earlier, competitive programming is very different from DSA, but invest your time in competitive programming, because if you master or if you practice the hard thing, performing in the comparatively easier thing will be a lot easier for you. So if you're practicing competitive programming, you're devoting enough time to that. So when DSA comes your way, you won't find it that difficult. So if you practice competitive programming, you will basically cover all the DSA. Plus, you will have to cover some additional typical algorithms that are not usually asked in any company's interview or in the online test. So devote enough time to competitive programming. And the final thing, do not learn DSA. Yes, I'm saying do not learn DSA. Try to understand it. If you learn certain algorithms, I am very sure you'll forget it within a week. But if you try to understand things, ask yourself questions like, if there were already basic data types, why was an array required? If there already was an array, why was a vector required? If there already was a vector, why was a linked list required? If there was a linked list, then why a tree was required? If there was a tree, then why a graph? Or if there were graphs, then why classification of directed or undirected graphs were required? Why were weighted graphs required? So when you have answers to all these questions, what will happen is, when any new question comes your way, the first thing that your brain will do is look for the problem in the question, like what the crux of the whole problem is. You will be able to find certain bullet points. Okay, these are the exact problems that I need to solve. Now once you have those problems, you will try to look for solutions. Now if you have understood DSA clearly, finding solution to these problems will not be a hectic task. Whereas on the other hand, if you are learning DSA, all your brain will do is try to recall whether you have solved this problem earlier or not. And if not, you will not be able to solve that problem. And if you have solved this problem before, you will be able to solve this problem. So the later thing is not what we want. The prior one is what we want. Okay. So try to understand DSA. And people, the first and second year peeps, if you have some doubts where you can start with coding, I have talked about implementation, computer programming, everything, and you're not sure what platform you can practice these from. So we'll see the platforms towards the end of the session. Okay, so yeah. Now again, this is for everyone except the 4 final year students. When I say DSA, not every algorithm, not the typical algorithms are asked in the competitive programming. There are some standard algorithms. I'm sorry, not every algorithm is asked in the company's interview. There are some standard algorithms, some standard data structures that the companies focus on. And if you deep dive into any particular company, you'll realize a company, like every company has a kind of pattern. What kind of questions do they ask every year, and they stick to that pattern. So if you talk about Microsoft, I can tell you that Microsoft usually asks problem about graphs, trees, and linked list or some string manipulations. So it's kind of fixed for everything. If you talk about Goldman, they ask you problems based on graphs and DP. If you talk about DShaw, they'll stick to DP a lot, and sometimes linked list as well. So every company has a kind of pattern, and the whole industry in itself has a pattern that they will not go beyond that bubble of standard algorithms. Okay, so you just have to practice those standard algorithms. You need not worry about the typical algorithms or some really advanced algorithms that exist in the market. This was about algorithms. When you practice DSA, an important thing is understanding the complexity. You must be very well aware about how to do complexity analysis, both time and space. Because when you go for interviews, whenever you suggest a solution, the first thing the interviewer is going to ask you is, guys, there is someone who is not on mute. So if you can mute yourself, thank you so much. So whenever you give a solution to the interviewer, the first thing interviewer is going to ask you is what's the complexity of the solution that you have suggested. So it is very important for you to understand how you can calculate the complexity. Again, if you're going to learn complexity, both space and time, of every algorithm or every data structure that you're going to study, you will mess up in the interview. So the best thing is understand how you can actually calculate the complexity, both time and space. Okay. And again, about data structures, there are certain very standard data structures, the linear ones, trees, hashes, graphs, and some STLs like priority queues and yeah, so stuff like that. So only those data structures are the ones that will be required in the interviews. You need not go for Fenwick tree or B plus trees in the interview. No company will ask you about Fenwick tree or B trees, B plus trees. No one is going to ask you that. So stick to basics, master them, stick to standard problems, standard data structures, master them, and you will be able to crack the interviews. Okay. So I have been talking for say around 10-15 minutes. I believe some of you will have some doubts. So I guess this is a good point to stop and take any doubts if you have. Anyone, if you have any doubts, you can unmute yourself. If not comfortable with that, you can type it in the chat box. I'll be happy to take any doubts if you have any. Okay, so Bakesh, I'm sorry if I'm not pronounced it right. So which language is good for C++, C++, or Java? Okay, so basically the first question is both the questions are kind of same. So what should be the language that you adapt? Whether it should be C, C++, Java, or Python. See, C is not something that I'll suggest. C++ is what I do it in. I have been doing it in. So that is one thing that I would recommend you. But again, Java and Python are never a bad choice. Both Java and Python are great choice if you want to do DSA. Java, some benefits of Java are that if you do competitive programming in Java, how it will benefit you is it will also help you when you are going for development, because you have already spent plenty of time doing competitive programming in Java, so you are familiar with the language. So Java will help you there in the development part. About Python, if you do competitive programming in Python, things will become very easy for you. Again, but the thing that you will miss in Python is that you will not be able to see the beauty of computer programming. You will have things like you will already have things completely made up for you. There are a lot of libraries. You will directly pick up those libraries, and it will be a cakewalk for you. You will not be able to see the actual beauty that lies in the computer programming. So that's one con of Python. But on the other side, the brighter side, if you do computer programming in Python, again, the advantage with Python is that data analytics, ML, AI, these things will become easier because you again are familiar with Python. The best thing about C++ is that it will actually help you understand how things work, how the core of what the core of computer science is. Like any operating system still is written in C. Okay, if you talk about Windows, it's written in C. If you talk about Linux, it's in C. So doing computer programming in C, C++, it will help you understand things. It will help you understand the beauty of computer programming, because there you will have to implement everything on your own. Yes, you will have some STLs, but again, it will not be as made up as they are in Python. So you will get to see the beauty. But again, Python and Java are never a bad choice. It's up to you. To crack DSA in Google or Amazon, will they allow Python? Python has built-in libraries. See, again, Bakesh, what happens sometimes is if you go to an interview and you say, oh, okay, Python is the only thing that I know. So most of the times I've seen that you will not be shortlisted, like, because the job advertisement that they give out, they mention specifically that you must, in some of the job descriptions, they mention that the candidate should be aware with C or C++ or Java. Python is very seldom mentioned there. But if you talk about Google or Amazon, yes, they will allow Python, but the important thing will be they will also expect you to have knowledge of either C or C++, where you can actually explain them how some libraries that you're using in Python, how it is implemented on the backend. So if you're not aware of the language, at least you must be aware of the logic, how it is implemented in the backend. How to develop logic building. Again, Rishabh, logic building is all about practice. Practice as much as you can, practice more problems, discuss it with your friends. That's the only way you can develop. सर कितने डीएसए के क्वेश्चंस करना चाहिए जिससे सीपी के बेसिक्स क्लियर हो जाए? Aditya, depends from person to person. You might see, like, there is no as such strict line that okay, if you cross this line you are now good at CP. If you give me any problem, there are 100% of the chances I might not be able to solve it. So the thing is, practice as much as you can. There is no minimum or maximum practice in computer programming. There are endless number of problems, and there are endless number of solutions to a particular problem. So practice as much as you can. You will learn every new day. But at least practice 70 to 80 problems. Only then you will get that confidence. Okay, now I can try solving any medium or difficult problem. So at least 70 to 80 problems is required when you're starting off to call yourself like better than beginners, I would suggest. Okay, so enough questions. Let's get ahead. Now, okay, now this is for the whole audience. I'm sorry if I am not making a lot of sense for third and the fourth year folks. But if you have any questions, I'll be happy to take that. This particular slide I feel will be helpful for everyone who will be going to the industry. Now, a question that every one of us has in mind is trying to understand what is expected from us when we go into a company or a big corporate or a startup or anywhere. The very important thing for us is to understand that what are the expectations from us. Okay, so I have tried categorizing them into three, that what an interviewer is trying to look at in the candidate. So the first thing is attitude 1.0. Now this is a made up name that I have given it. Now attitude 1.0 is the problem solving ability. Now if you are going to any corporate, any big firm, they do not just expect from a computer science engineer that come to their company, write few lines of code that compile perfectly, and boom, your work is done. You can go home. No, that is not what is expected from a computer science engineer these days. This would have been the expectations couple of decades back, in early 21st century. These were the expectations from a computer science engineer. But as of now, this is not the only thing that is expected. Yes, this is expected. This is the bare minimum that is required. Now, upon this, what is required is whether you are able to solve problems for that particular firm, whether you are able to come up with solutions to the existing problems, whether or not you are able to look at the problem in a different way. So they basically want problem solvers. You might not be excellent at coding, but if you are excellent at problem solving, they will take you, because at the end of the day what they are trying to do is solve problems, and how you will help them is by solving problems, as simple as that. So having that attitude where you have the tendency to solve problems is very necessary. Now how do you develop that? So if you talk about computer programming, solve as many as problems, you will get to understand how competitive programming works, how DSA works, and by there, like through that way, you will be able to solve the competitive programming problems. But again, just not keeping it to computer programming, try to solve problems in your real life. If you see there is any problem in your friend circle, try to come up with a solution for that. If you see there are some problems at your home, try to suggest solutions, try to look for solutions. If you see any particular problem, try to see how differently can you solve this particular problem. In that way you will, like, your character will get that seed of problem solving, and that will bloom into a tree. Okay, so have that problem solving attitude. Now the second thing, needless to say, whenever you are going for any interview, knowledge of the role that you're applying for and the knowledge that is required for that particular role is very, very important. If you're going for software role, I believe most of the candidates here are for software roles. So DSA, we talked about DSA, it's important. Apart from DSA, if someone wants to know the subjects, again, the important subjects are operating systems, OS, database and its management, DBMS, computer networks, CN, and object oriented and its related concepts. Oops. Okay, so these are the subjects that you must have knowledge of, and make sure the company that you're applying for and the role that you're applying for, read about that when you're going for the interview, because you may expect some problems, sorry, you may expect some questions based on that. Now the third thing is attitude 2.0. Again, this is a made up name, and this is something that I personally was lacking. Sharing my personal experience during the internship season, my internship season, I was rejected in a dozen of companies. Around 10 or 11 companies I was rejected in them. I used to clear the online rounds, but I used to somehow mess up in the interviews in the first round, second round, or the third round, and they used to throw me out. So this was something I personally was lacking. And after a lot of introspection, talking to my friends, my seniors, I got to know, okay, this is something where I'm messing up. I started working on it, worked on it for some time, and boom, I was able to crack Goldman. So the attitude 2.0 thing is how well are you able to handle pressure? how calm can you be under pressure, and how efficiently can you think under pressure. Now everyone can perform well when things are going good. Everyone can breathe perfectly when the water is below your nose. What they want is, how well can you perform when things are under pressure? How well can you survive when the water gets above your nose? Now, why I'm saying this is, as you know, that the competition in this software industry is tremendous. Every firm is competing with each other. Okay, so the kind of workload, the kind of pressure, the kind of competition in this industry is a lot. And as a result, all the engineers, all the people, all the employees are always under tremendous amount of pressure to perform. The performance is not expected in an environment which is your comfort zone. You will always be out of your comfort zone. So they basically want to see how well can you perform when you are out of your comfort zone. So try to develop that habit where you can handle pressure, where you can keep your calm under situations that are not in your comfort zone. Now, how you will be able to achieve that is, in my personal case, I like to be very honest, in my second year or before my intern season, if someone used to suggest me to meditate, I would call the other person a fool, because I never used to believe in meditation and stuff. But when I was continuously failing, I had no other option but to try everything. So again, someone suggested to me that since you're not able to handle pressure, maybe you should start meditating. Um, as I had no other option, I did that, and trust me, guys, I really found it helpful. I really saw myself growing and improving. So I will suggest all of you to meditate. Again, I'm not forcing you, nor I can force you. It's just a suggestion. I'm very sure a lot of you who are listening to me will call me fool, but I'm very sure if you do it the right way, you will see the changes in yourself. Okay, so try to develop that habit of keeping the calm under the situation and the situations which are not in your comfort zone. Okay. Now again, this particular thing is more Bakesh, short answer to your question is yes. Like, you can use libraries, but have knowledge of how things are implemented in the back. Now, this particular thing, some points mentioned on the screen are for third and the fourth year students who are appearing for intern and the placement season. Now, again, guys, I'm not boasting about myself, but whatever I'm saying, why you can trust me is that I was also the placement coordinator of my college, the career development cell at my college. So I have gotten that chance to interact with the hiring managers, the interviewers on a very personal level. I've seen the whole placement process very closely from the very first year, and I also was the head. So I had that chance to talk to HRs and people. So I've got that feedback, and trust me, whatever I'm saying is the truth. Okay, I'm not making up anything. So now, what is required? So the first and the foremost thing that I suggest anyone whenever you're going for an interview is have that belief in yourself. Now, why I'm emphasizing on this point so much is I'm very sure all the third and the fourth year folks in this session today, I'm very sure you have practiced the core subjects, you have practiced the DSA part very well. But just try to understand this. If you do not have that belief in yourself, okay, to give you a simple analogy, just consider yourself a chef. You're an excellent chef who has worked very hard. Okay, now today some very important guests are coming for a dinner party. Okay, and you are the chief chef and you have to prepare a delicious meal, obviously, because these are the eminent guests. So you plan on a really delicious menu, and since the very morning you start putting in tremendous efforts and your energy in making that meal. Now just think that you have put in all your efforts, all your experience, all your time in making that meal, but you just forget to add that last pinch of salt to all your dishes. Now, if you do not add that last pinch of salt, your meal is never up to the mark. All your efforts, all your time is gone into vain. Okay, so the exact same thing is the belief. There's an analogy between the belief and the last pinch of salt. You have put in enough energy, enough time, all your skills, experience into preparing for the interview. But if you forget to carry your belief with you in the interview, you will mess up. So have that belief in yourself that you will be able to crack that particular interview. Make your friends put that belief in you. Have a healthy peer group, guys. Like now, this is something that I will emphasize a lot upon. That having a healthy peer group is very very important. I'll tell you why. So have a good peer group who boosts you, who boosts this belief and energy in you whenever you're going for an interview. You will see your performance will improve a lot. Now, practice is very very important whenever you're going for interview. Now, practice DSA, practice system design, and practice SQL queries. Now, third and the fourth year students for whom the internship or the placement season is going on, if you have not practiced system design and SQL queries, guys, I'll suggest you please, if you have some time, go through system design and SQL queries. These two topics are not tough at all, but they need some practice, just a little practice. You will be able to complete both of them in couple of days or 3 days at max. So if you have some time left, try to devote some time, because if you just keep on reading definitions and concepts in DBMS, what sometimes will happen is when you go for interview, they will ask you definitions, but like apart from that, what they will also ask you is they will give you some bunch of tables and they'll give you an output. Now you will be required to write an SQL query that leverages these tables and gives out this particular output. So if you have not practiced queries, you do not know the syntax, you will not be able to write a query there. So just practice that. And again, system design, if you are going for full time, the interviewer may ask you system design problems. Again, he will ask you a very simple one, maybe just to design URL shortener or parking lot, or maybe an e-commerce website. But again, if you have not practiced, you will not be able to do it there. So just practice this. Now, reading core subjects, the 4 subjects that we talked about, reading those is very important. Try to devote time to that and read. Now, the last thing, which is very important for the third and fourth year students, and if third and fourth year students have not done it yet, guys, you are already a little late. Start it ASAP. First and second year students, this is the right time you start it. And that thing is, the secret thing is networking. Network with your seniors, people who are in the industry, who are working in your dream companies, who have done something great in life. Network with them. You will get to learn a lot of things from their experience. Okay, now how you're going to network is, okay, I guess I have been speaking since a lot of time. So just to make it a little more interactive, if all of you, there are 31, one is Kajal, one is me, so there are 29 more. If 29 of you can give me a raise of hand, how many of you are on Instagram, Snapchat, or Facebook? Any one of them? Come on, guys, just a raise of hand. I want 29 on 29 because I believe that's what our generation does the best, be on social network. Come on, guys, hurry up. 12, 15. Okay, so there are some people who are not willing to raise hands, because I cannot believe that only 50% of us have. I myself am on Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, so I cannot believe that only 50% of this audience is on any social network. So guys, okay, just accepting that there are only 50%. Now, don't be fool at this point. This is the high time you stop wasting your time on Instagram, Snapchat, and rather start investing your time on LinkedIn. I'm sure all of you have heard what LinkedIn is. I'm very sure all of you have heard what LinkedIn is. And if you have not heard, type in www.linkedin.com, go there, make an account, have a decent profile picture, write a good description of you, and start connecting with people. No one really cares how many followers you have on Instagram. What will really matter 2 years down the line is how many connections or how good a network do you have on LinkedIn. Okay, you will get to meet good audience there. You will get to interact with excellent people there. It will not at all be a waste of time. Whatever you are doing on Instagram is just a waste of time. Okay, there is excellent content to learn on LinkedIn. So make an account on LinkedIn and start networking. Now, if you ask me, how can someone improve? Now, again, practice as much as you can, practice more and more problems. That's the only way you can practice, you can improve in DSA or computer programming. Now, the second thing, having a healthy peer group is really important. Wherever I am now, I believe that a lot of contribution has been because of my friends. I had an excellent friend circle, and I'm really proud of the friends that I have. So that is what something I'll suggest all of you. Have a healthy peer group. A healthy peer group usually is of size 3 to 4. People who have common interest, who are ready to help each other, not people who are jealous of your success, who cannot see you growing. Have good peer group who always push you to be a better version of yourself. Now, how that healthy peer group will help you is whenever you are doing something, since all of you have a common aim in life, you will put in similar efforts. Now, when you are putting in similar efforts, at the end of the day, if you discuss some problem which all of you have solved, you will realize that all of you have solved it using a different approach. Now, how this will help building you is, you will get to know multiple approaches to a same problem. Now, this will help you in the interview as well as your problem solving abilities, because you will get to know multiple approaches how you can solve a particular problem. Okay, so having a healthy peer group is very, very important. Now, reviewing editorials, and now editorials are the right solutions that exist on any platform. Even if you're able to solve a particular problem, make it a habit of reviewing the editorials, because sometimes you will see that in the editorials the solution might be more efficient than yours, and even if the logic is same in both, in your solution and the one in the editorial, you might have written, say, 15 line of code 15 lines of code, but the editorial might have only 7 lines of code. So that way it will help you improve. So make it a habit of reviewing editorials. Now, again, this last point is for everyone in the audience, particularly for third and the fourth year students. If you see that you are somehow messing up in the interviews or the online test, start it from today. Make a note of the mistakes that you're doing, introspect, and see what particular point or what particular characteristic is something that is lacking in you. Start working on that. If you devote some time to this, you will see that your growth, your improvement will be exponential. So please make it a habit, guys, to make a note of your mistakes. Bookmark the important problems that you come across. Now, how these bookmarks will help you is, suppose you have your interview in 3 days and you just feel like brushing up everything. So you need not go through all the problems. You can only go through the bookmarks, the ones you have bookmarked. Or if you have some specific notes for some problem, you can go through the notes. So this is how it will help. And having consistency whenever you're preparing for anything is very, very important. So meanwhile, I'll show you some resources. I believe if someone has some doubts, you can ask me those doubts. Meanwhile, I'll show you some resources. The first thing, if you're just starting off with the computer programming, something that I'll suggest you is HackerRank. You can start with HackerRank, make an account here. This platform has very simple problems. The implementation part that we talked about. A similar platform is HackerEarth. Again, for beginners or people who want to practice implementation thing. Now, for people who are preparing for interviews, something that I'll suggest to you is InterviewBit. InterviewBit is again a great platform for doing this. Apart from InterviewBit, you have LeetCode. You can practice things on LeetCode as well. Now, apart from LeetCode, you can also go to CodeChef. Now, CodeChef is for people who are better than beginners and who just want to practice DSA. You can go to CodeChef. If you want to practice the hardcore DSA, you can go to Spoj. Spoj is again a great platform for that. Again, I'm not able to recall a name. Code Forces. a platform similar to Spodge's Code Forces. You can practice the hardcore DSA, the typical algorithms, the advanced algorithm here on Code Forces. Now, these are the various platforms that you can practice it from. What Coding Ninjas has done for you is they have like packed all of this in one particular platform, and that is called as Code Studio. We have something which is called Code Studio from Coding Ninjas. Okay, this is not the one. Just a second. So what Coding Ninjas has done is this is a free platform from Coding Ninjas called as Code Studio. Here you will get interview problems. Here you will get interview experiences. If you go to interview problems, there are various filters that you can apply. If you want to practice the advanced algorithms, you want to practice a particular data structure, you want to practice easy problems, they have those tags. If you want to practice hard problems, they have those tags. If you want to practice problems of a particular company, you can have those tags as well. So you can do it from this platform as well. This is again excellent platform. Now this was about the DSA or competitive programming part for reading subjects. The best thing is reading from books. I myself is not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of reading books. I am just not able to read books. So what I do is there are some wonderful blogs that are available over the internet. Go to medium.com. There you will find excellent blogs. You will have excellent playlists available on YouTube. So you can do it from there. If not that, you want some systematic resources, what you can do is go to Coding Ninjas. Now on Coding Ninjas, they have they have some courses here. Okay. So now say if you want to practice DSA, you want to do it in C. So there is this course. This is a paid course, but if you want, you can try it for free as well. The content is more or less same. Okay. So these are some of the resources that I wanted to show you. And so I could only solve 3 questions out of 10 in October long challenge. Any tips to improve? Ayush, again, the only tip is practice. Now, see, if you were only able to solve 3 problems, I would suggest you is go through the other problems, the tutorials of the other problems, and see like what was something that you were missing, why you were not able to think of those solutions. Just go through that solution, try to understand the logic in it. Okay, that will help you. How much Soumyajit has asked, how much or what math syllabus in CS grad goes through for development so that we can study? Soumyajit, I am not sure. I'm not able to understand what you are trying to ask. Which concepts in DSA is required to crack front-end developer job in startup or mid-size company like small case or like will they have system design down? Yes, Pakesh, if you go for front end, they can ask you some like if you're going for only for front end, they will not ask you system design. If you're going for back end, they will ask you. If you're going for full stack or back end, they will ask you a lot of system design, both high level and low level designs. If you're going for front end, make sure that you have some good projects. You have practiced a lot of projects. You have made you have done like basically if you are going for startups, guys, this is for again for everyone. If you are going for startups, the thing that will matter a lot is whether or not you have good projects. Start investing your time on good projects, and that will be really helpful whenever you're going for any job. So again, at the end, if you have any questions, we can take all the questions that we have. This was all from my side. Thank you everyone for being so patient, listening to me. Soumyajit, I'll be able to help you more if you can like reiterate your question in a different way so that I understand it. Just a second. Rajnikant Roy, how to make our resume stick out for such companies? We can't make for DSA. Ranjikant, like how will you make a project in DSA? Like DSA is all about concepts, it's all about logics. You will not be able to make a project. There is one project that I usually suggest my juniors, that you can make kind of an illustrator where say suppose there are various sorting algorithms we know, right? So what you can do is uh, make a software or simply a web page where there are all the sorting algorithms that are listed, and there are some stacks of various sites which basically represent a value. And now when user selects any particular particular sorting algorithm, all these stacks will be sorted based on that algorithm. So say if there is some person who has no idea about what sorting is, he can go to your web page, and based on various algorithms, he can see how actually things work. Say suppose how things will actually move in bubble sort is very different from how things will move in merge sort or quick sort. So you can make those illustrators. So that is how you can involve DSA and development together. One of the ideas. I meant if there is many math syllabus. Okay, Swamiji, there is no particular math syllabus as such, unless you're going for some analyst roles or quant analyst roles. There is no math syllabus as such involved. The basic primitive maths is all that will be required for DSA. No hi-fi mathematics. If you're going for analyst, quant analyst roles, linear algebra is what something will be required. Will AI take coding? Will AI take? I don't think anytime soon, say 25 years, AI is going to take coding jobs, because software development is just not about coding. When you come to an industry, you will see that just writing 50, 100, 500 lines of code is not what you do as a software engineer. There is a lot. And I don't think any AI can do it. Only a human brain, at least for next 25 years, will be required to do that. But yes, eventually, when things get more advanced, things will change. AI may take on the coding jobs after 25 years, but not anytime sooner, I feel. Sarthak, for me personally, the biggest problem I face is I love, just a second, I love problem solving, and whenever I see a new concept, I find it very, I love, okay, let me stop sharing my screen. And take on questions. Uh, yeah, I love problem solving, and whenever I see a new concept, I find it very interesting and I really enjoy it and I understand it as well. But when I sit down to code for some problem, I'm not able to do so, even though I understand its concept thoroughly. And that's when I start to rethink if I really like any of it anymore. See, Sarthak, the only thing that you're lacking is, you remember we talked about the implementation thing. That why I emphasized so much. I said that implementation is something which is very important. That you need not like dive directly into DSA. Instead, you can just like start off with typing the brute force solutions, because that will help you how you can put your mental processes into a computer code. So that is something that you are lacking, that I feel. So just don't devote more time to DSA. Maybe this is time you can take a step back and practice some brute force solutions, some easy solutions, so that you are able to type your everything that is in your head into a computer program. And once you do that, you already understand DSA, and I am very sure once you have practiced implementation enough, you will be able to put down whatever you have in your head into a code. Dipanshu, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, I did not see your hand raised. If you have any question, please go ahead, unmute yourself, and you can ask. If not, it's by mistake, you can put down your hand. Is open source necessary? A lot of buzz going about it. Yes, Ayush, again, open source basically shows if you are good at development, you want to develop new things, open source is something that you can deep dive in. I myself never did any of the open source, so I might not be the right one to suggest you. But yes, it is again excellent choice if you want to do development. Can you show a real world problem solving using DSA, like companies do tasks using DSA? Okay, so Rishabh, a really good example that just let me recall it. Okay, so okay, some couple of Kajal, can I please take your permission that if you can extend this session at like
Yeah,
5-7
sure.
minutes?
If
Okay.
if you have time, Shubhankar, that is
Yeah.
absolutely fine.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure.
So Rishabh, recent couple of examples that I can recall from my particular team. So I am in the ENS team. What my team does is I believe many of you use Windows operating system. So what my team does is all the security updates that you get every month for all the existing OSs from Windows Vista to Windows 11. All the security patches, the updates that you get every month, my team basically develops that. Okay, so all the vulnerabilities that are there in the code, both security and non-sec ones, go through my team. We make them. So a couple of examples recently when I'm talking about problem solving is, so comparatively easier one that I recently solved in the last week was that there is something called as WDAC policies, in which is kind of a security technology where the user can, the admin basically can decide what are applications or drivers will be allowed to run on a particular system for a particular user. Okay, so now for that they can make policies. Now in those policies they can define rules, certain rules. Okay, if certain application follows this particular rule, then this will be allowed to run. So in that particular policy, sometimes it has a rule that where it compares that the version should be the minimum version should be like it the version of this particular application is greater than the minimum version and less than the maximum version. It checks that. So what the issue was, whoever wrote that code, what mistake he did was the version numbers are being stored as arrays. Okay, this is an insider information that in the Windows operating system, the version numbers are being stored as strings. So he was directly using string comparators to compare these two version numbers. So now what issue it was creating is, suppose if it is comparing 70 with 420, it will start off with comparing 7 with 4, and it will say that 7 is greater than 4, therefore 70 is greater than 420, which is wrong, right? So this was an issue that was existing. So being a software developer, again, it was my job to, this is a problem and I had to find out a solution. So to how can we solve this particular problem? So instead of the string comparator, I defined a new function which basically will take care of all these coordinate cases. It will not use string comparator, rather it will divide these strings into integers and then it will start comparing. So this is an example. Another example, if you want, okay, we are running out of time. So let's take the other doubts first. And if we have time left, I'll give you the second example. What else do we do other than DSA to get placed at companies such as JP Morgan? Virtual coding rounds were easy, but we still don't hear from them. Tushar, again, one thing that I missed to mention is, guys, have a decent CGPA, please. If you have had any seniors who told you that CGPA does not matter in life, that's completely wrong. CGPA plays a big role. It matters a lot. So make sure you have a decent CGPA, because what most of the times these companies will do is they will shortlist the resume based on the CGPA itself. So a lot of times, even when you were great, you will not hear from them because you did not had a good CGPA. So make sure you have good CGPA. Just a second before we take on the second doubt. Guys, this is my LinkedIn. I have pasted in the chat. If any one of you feels like connecting with me, you can connect with me. I'll be happy to help you off this session as well. Will product-based companies like startup or mid-sized companies have aptitude round for fun? Yes. Package, it will still depend from company to company. Some companies might have, like usually startups won't take an aptitude round. Mostly corporates will, the big firms will take the aptitude round, but the startups, they will mostly see your projects that you have done. And I don't think they'll take an aptitude round. Most of the times it will happen that the startups will not even ask you for DSA problems. They'll directly look into your projects and ask you questions based on your projects and the development work that you have done. Rajnikant Roy has asked, is knowledge of web dev or app dev necessary for SDE jobs? Rajnikant, again, as I said, that projects really play an important role. So if you have some projects in app development or WebD, yes, they will certainly help you because you will mention them on your resume. They will reflect that you are able to code something, you are able to develop something. So yes, they will give you an upper hand in the interview. Bro, is the switch for service-based companies to product-based companies really hard? No, I don't think it is that hard. It is like if you are starting off early if you are just starting off in your career, it won't be hard. But if you have spent enough amount of time in a particular company, say if you were in a service-based company for a long, and then for long I mean by 12-15 years, if you have been there, and then if you feel like switching to another domain of companies, it might be a problem there. But if you are new in your career, I don't think it will create an issue. CGPA was 9. Then Tushar, I believe, I'm not sure then what was the reason that they did not get back to you. But keep applying off campus. You will certainly hear from someone. I'm a mechanical engineer. Can I get shortlisted for software developer roles? Yes, you can get shortlisted. I'm not sure what your name is, but yes, you are the one who called me bro. So yes, you can get shortlisted for software companies as well. But there are certain companies which will not consider your application just for the sole fact that you're a mechanical engineer, you do not have a computer science degree. But most of the companies out there, particularly startups, will not differentiate, and some big corporates also will not differentiate. I've not done CP as much, but I'm practicing DSA. So is it necessary to do CP for cracking coordinates? No, Rahul Gandhi. I don't know if it's your real name, but no, DSA is the only thing that is important. If you are going for, say, DShaw, or you're going for Goldman, they or Google, Facebook, companies like those, they will ask you computer programming. But unless you're going for those, if you have a good grasp over DSA, things will be very good. During development, where we use DSA? If yes, where? Can you give example? Bakesh, we do not like straightforward use DSA. We don't do that. But again, example of where you can use DSA in develop know about undo and redo operations. So if you give it a thought for a while, you can just give it thought for a while till I take a next question. How can you implement the undo and the redo functionality for your application? Does Windows 11 change only UI UX, or is there some changes in codes and implementation of the task? Can you share some insights? So Rajpal, I don't know if you saw that I have a Windows 11 system. So yes, they have changed the UI. Definitely, it's far more better than Windows 10. But I'm not really sure about the other implementations. I have not got the chance to look through the code. So I'm really not sure about the insights as of now. I had career gap after MCA due to health issues. Which companies should I apply? Bakesh, again, I cannot help you with this. Which companies you should apply? I do not have that knowledge. You will have to go to the career portal and see if they have any particular conditions based on the career gap. What area should I focus more? DSO projects. I believe that you should have a balance of both DSA and projects, since you already have spent a decent time in the industry as well. So I believe you have a lot of good projects. So I believe this is the time you can spend a little time more on DSA, since you already have projects. Before you go to any interview, make sure that you brush up your knowledge of your projects, the projects that you have done. that will help you in the interviews. So I believe I have cleared all the doubts. Yes.
Pankaj, maybe so you can just take 5 more minutes and maybe you can drop your LinkedIn ID here in the chat box as students whose queries has not been resolved yet, they can, get in touch with you. So that would be, I guess, more feasible.
Sure, Kajal. So guys, I have already pasted my LinkedIn once. Again, the message is my LinkedIn profile. You can connect with me. Yes, Rahul, you can try replicating that project. And I talked about undo and redo, guys. So you can implement undo and redo using a stack or a queue. So that is how you, if you are thinking of implementing the undo and redo functionality in your application, you should, if you have done something similar, if you have solved something similar in DSA, you know that you can do it using a stack or a queue. So that is how you can somehow correlate DSA and development. Wondering if I get a job in company as well.
Guys, I have also placed a discount link in the chat box. In case if one of you want to go ahead with any of the DSA courses, maybe with the coding ninjas, you can use this link to get 15% discount on all the CN courses. Also, you guys can reach out to Shubhankar at any point of time on his LinkedIn. He'll be happily helping you all with all of the queries. Anything else if you want to get in touch with, or maybe any other kind of queries or related to webinar itself, you can reach out to me as well. I've just placed my LinkedIn ID as well in the chat box. So that is it from my end. Shubhankar, if you have any final words, or if you want to take 1 or 2 questions more, you can take it and then we can end the session.
So guys, Abhijit, I'm not sure what your time. One thing, if I get a job, no, it won't be hard because you already have practiced DSA. You know something about development, so that's what you will be doing in the company. So it won't be that hard. Don't think about that as now. Start think only of the preparation. So guys, I guess this was it from my side. I hope all of you got something. You're taking something back. We have spent more than an hour together. I'll be happy if someone wants to unmute, have a quick conversation for 30-40 seconds. I'll be happy to converse with you. And if not, we can drop off. Have a safe weekend. Have a good go out, spend some time with your friends. It's Friday night. And stay safe. COVID has not gone yet. Make sure your parents also wear mask. Make sure you wear mask as well whenever you go out. So okay guys, then I guess this was it. Have a good time. Feel free to connect with me, ask me any doubts if you have. If you need any help, referral, feel free to connect with me. Thank you, Kajal, so much for coordinating this session.
Thank you so much, Shubhankar. That was an amazing session, and I guess it was really interactive. The student has, I guess, all of their queries has almost resolved. So yeah, that was it. Guys, I'm placing the links again in the chat box, the feedback form, do fill it, and the discount link and my LinkedIn ID as well, in case any one of you want to reach out to me. So here it is, and yeah, have a safe weekend, guys. Enjoy.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Shubhankar.